creatives, this is Cassie, aka the Crafting Chef, bringing you another tutorial on behalf of Sub This and That, home of the monthly Sublimation box. For today's tutorial, I'm working from our January 2024 box titled Let's Get Warm and Cozy. So for today's tutorial, I am sublimating one of our most popular items, which is this nice, soft, and cozy blanket. So we started out getting the blankets in this gray color, which I absolutely love. And now we also have this blanket in beige. This blanket is the box title alone, warm and cozy. So I just got finished doing a product for a customer on this gray blanket. Here's what I tell my customers, because this picture is a prime example. While the blanket looks great, the blanket is only going to look as wonderful as your pictures. So I actually have a disclaimer on my website when it comes to people sending me pictures, because let's be honest, most people have cell phone pictures. And cell phone pictures don't necessarily translate well when you blow them up to fit your needs. So make sure that you're letting your customers know if it's a low quality photo, if you're not a photographer, if you're not a photo editor, and you don't know the tips, tricks, and trades or Photoshop or anything to bring that photo, to bring the quality of the photo any higher than what it is, make sure you let your customers know that. Okay? All right. Sorry about the tangent. I'm very passionate when it comes to photos, and I still use a digital camera. I don't like photos just necessarily taken with my cell phone. So, all right, I'm done for real now. So let's get back to this blanket. I would normally do this blanket using my Yucador board. A Yucador board is a piece of board that you can get from Home Depot. It's in the contractor section. And let me see if I can grab it. And I typically use it when I'm doing large items that I need to press in sections on my heat press. So here's a piece. I had mine, the board when you purchase it is extremely large. I had mine cut down into 16 by 24 pieces. I would normally use that for this kind of project so that I don't have to shift it on my heat press. I can just slide it. But for this in particular, because I really need to line these up, I'm actually going to do this one in sections. So me personally, this part, I folded the blanket in half. That gives me the center from top to bottom, so it's folded. It is fabric, guys, so it's not going to be exactly even. And by that, I mean, even when I fold the blanket over, right? If you can see here, how much is showing here, but it's completely covered there because it's lined up. So it's not always going to be a perfect match one-to-one when you line up the ends of your blanket. Just get as close as you can to get your center point. So after I got my center point top and bottom, I also folded the blanket again, and I'm using a smaller table, so it's going to be hard to show all of this in a table. In the video, because of the table that I'm using. So once I folded it in half this way, the way you see it, I also folded it back over again to get the center point of the middle of the blanket. Once I fold it over, I heat press it a little bit, and you can see my center mark line is here. Now, I personally, with my blankets, I don't like the design to specifically, and I'm going to pull this one out, be directly in the middle of the blanket, because I don't want the images on the blanket to be all the way down at the person's feet. So I'm going to fold this up in half and show you guys if I can. This is the bottom half of the blanket. So if I would have did my image where it was exactly in the middle of the blanket, their names would have been way down here. And I really don't want that at the foot of the blanket. So I pretty much like to work my design for the most part at the top of the blanket or towards the top of the blanket. So that is the reason why I fold it in half, because I don't want to go below the half fold mark of the height of the blanket. I hope that made sense, you guys. I felt like I said a mouthful. So ordinarily I would tape all of my pieces together, and this particular design was printed on 3 sheets of 13 by 19 and 1 sheet of 11 by 17. So I had to really piece this design together. Alright, so I'm going to start with this piece of my design, which is the topmost part of the blanket. And I'm lining up my center based on my text on the screen. So I may have to, before I do that, I do apologize. I did not say this. Make sure you pre-press and lint roll. So I've already done both, but we'll go ahead and just, you want to lint roll to get any loose fibers out of your blanket. You also want to pre-press it at 400 degrees for 10 seconds. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to take this first part down, and this is going to help me line up the remaining parts of the design. I'm going to take this over to my heat press, and I'm going to pull it all the way up because I'm going to use a press pillow right in here. I'm going to lay this, I'm going to open the blanket up. Actually, let me go around this side and pick it up. So I'm going to have the blanket open like this on my heat press with a press pillow underneath. So you're going to press this at 400 degrees for 60 seconds. All right, you guys, so got that off the press, and then I'm going to look for my next section, which, let's find some scissors. And I'm cutting off and trying to get as close to the edge as possible so that I can line up the image that is here. Sorry if my arm is in the way. I found this project to be quite the challenge based on the design. This is not something that I designed from scratch. The customer actually sent me these images in this grid. I'm sorry if my head's in the way. Sent me these images in this grid like that. So it just looks like she did like a pics collage on her cell phone or something like that. So the images came to me like that because I might have done something different. So right here, I'm just measuring the space between these two so that I get the right amount of space between this next image and I'm going to grab a piece of tape just to hold this down. I have no idea what just happened, that the video completely cut off. I am so sorry, guys. So let me see if I can do a recap really quick, because I don't even know where it cut off. I took the image that belonged over here, and the first thing I did to line these two squares up is I trimmed all the way around it, much like you see this image where I trimmed off all the white, because it's going to make it easier for me to line it up with the other images. And I also measured the space between these two images, which was 1/4 inch, so that I could line it up right here where it would be 1/4 inch between these two images. So I went ahead and taped it down, and then I'm going to attempt to do this one as well, so that we use the board and I can do these two pieces at the same time. And I can actually probably get my third piece on there as well. Let's see. So this is a place where I would use the Yucado board and lay it down on this part only, so that I can just slide it as I transfer it over, and it passes through the heat press. So I'm going to go ahead and tape this down. I have to get in front of the camera, so I'm going to pause the camera, tape this down, and then I'll be right back. All right, you guys, so here are my 3 separate pieces. So I'm going to take this over to my heat press, and let me see something really quick. I'm just measuring. So I'm about 8. Let me see. 3.5. I am 3.5 inches over the width of my heat press. So I'm going to press this in 2 parts. And that is where my board is going to come in handy. But I am actually going to use, I have a piece that's bigger. I can't pull it out because I won't be able to get it up here and keep it in frame. So I'm going to use a bigger piece than 16 by 24. 16 by 24 is the size of my heat press. And I got my boards originally cut at that size because at the time I was using a 15 by 15 inch heat press. So I do have one piece that's cut a little larger than my 16 by 24 press. So I'm going to use that one in order to press this in sections. And so I'm going to do 2 sections. I'm going to do here, and then I'll probably get this side together. So I'll be right back, and then we'll have one more piece to add on. All right. I am back, and I can tell you this blanket is, it's not the blanket, it's the design. It's causing me some havoc, man. There we have it again. This is another one of those pictures that was a very poor quality picture. There is nothing that I could personally do with that. So it is what it is. The last thing we have to add is her name at the bottom. So I'm going to pull this one. So here is the end result. If I had to redo this, I would make the images, well, I would make everything a little smaller, just a little bit smaller. When you have images that are not high quality, you want them to be small. Yep. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.